Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Lord Mayor, who was busy last Friday in her charity spin-a-thon, and she's going to give us an update first of all. Jessica.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, for letting me say. There we go. Thank you, Lord Mayor, for letting me say a few words of thanks for the 12-hour spin-a-thon that I hosted on Friday. Firstly, a big thank you to everyone who took part, from councillors Alderman Greenfield, Councillor Herr, Councillor Lavery, and those who called down to show their support. Yourself, Lord Mayor, Alderman Tinsley, and Councillor McGowan, right through to our council staff who took part, from our directors, deputy chief, their PAs, health and rec, building control, FAP, payroll, Chief Executive's office, Lord Mayor's office, and right through to members of the public, my own family and friends and colleagues. It was a really enjoyable day, a social occasion, and one that was good for everyone's physical well-being, I hope, but my legs are still recovering after 6 hours on the bike. We had over 30 people take part, over 350 miles cycled, and my big thanks goes to Susan and April, who turned an idea that I had into something pretty amazing that everyone could take part in and enjoy and support. We raised over 1,900 for Pretty in Pink, Northern Ireland's only dedicated breast cancer charity. And the work that they do right across Northern Ireland is fantastic, especially in our own ABC area, with our office in Portadown. So a big thank you to Leanne Rooney, Judith Castles and Karen Hoy from the charity for their support. It's a charity close to my heart, and the very kind and generous donations that everyone give, both online and down at South Lake on Friday, will make such a difference to the continued good work of the charity. So really big thank you to everyone who kindly donated. It's very much appreciated, and thank you to the staff at South Lake as well, who were brilliant at helping set everything up, and to our comms team as well, who promoted the event. It takes a lot of people to bring everything together, so it's certainly a very memorable day for my term. So thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor, for spearheading this very worthwhile initiative. It was delightful for me to call in on Friday morning. Unfortunately, time constraints meant that I couldn't get on a bicycle, but maybe on another occasion. I thought it was a very wise move to have it on a Friday, because it gives some people the weekend to recover. But in all seriousness, congratulations and well done to you and everyone who participated. Moving on to agenda item 1, apologies. Do we have any apologies? None. Okay. And we have Councillor Nelson online remotely tonight. I've been made aware of that. That's the only person. Okay, thank you. Moving on then to the council minutes. Can I have a proposer and seconder that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 26th of August be taken as read and approved as a correct record? Councillor Duffy, thank you. And Councillor Hockian, and agreed. Thank you. We're all agreed to adopt the decisions taken within the council minutes. Can I have a proposer and seconder the minutes of the special in-confidence council meeting that was adjourned on September the 9th, taken and read as approved as a correct record? Councillor Peter Herr, Councillor Scott Armstrong, and agreed. Thank you. Agreed to adopt the decisions contained in those minutes. Can I have a proposer and seconder of the minutes of special council meeting resumed on September the 16th, taken as read and approved as a correct record? I can't read. Councillor McConville Walker and Councillor O'Kane, thank you. And agreed. And agreed to adopt the decisions taken within. Thank you. Declarations of interest, are we content to take these as the meeting continues, or anyone needs to raise any at this point? No, thank you. Okay, members, at this point we have a presentation from the Northern Ireland Housing Executive on the ABC Housing Investment Plan for 2005 and update. Can I welcome the following officers to the Chamber tonight? We have Paul Isherwood, Director of Asset Management, Andy Kennedy, Asset Management, Pauline Beattie, Southern Area Manager, and Sinead Collins, Head of South Place Shaping. Online we have Roisin O'Neill, Sustainable Homes, Kevin Logan, AD Corporate Procurement, and Mona Conway, South Strategic Planning Manager. They're going to give a PowerPoint presentation. I have indicated that time is of the essence tonight, so a high-level overview is what members really will want, because I know that members will have read the report, and if any members have questions after that, then we hope to take them. So it's over to yourselves, folk. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, Aldermen and members. Thank you very much for the invitation today to give our annual update for our housing investment plan. Basically, a number of you have issued some written questions.
Systems.
Time is at a premium. What we'd like to do is respond.
Excuse me, have you hit your mic?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Apologies. Lord Mayor,
Sorry, just 1 second before you start. I'll bring in Councillor Mary O'Dowd. You had indicated just...
Sorry, I just want to declare a non-pecuniary interest with being on the Housing Council.
Okay, thank you. So again, thank you, Lord Mayor, Aldermen and members, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to come and present the Housing Investment Plan to you today. We'd received a number of written questions from members as regards to certain questions in areas. So what we would like to do, because time is at a premium, we'd like to respond to them directly in writing, and we'll provide a consolidated response to the Council of all questions after the meeting. Okay. So could we start with the presentation, please? So first slide then is the community planning update. Obviously the council had launched its connected a community plan for the borough, and as a strategic partner, community planning partner of that, the housing executive attends the quarterly strategic partnership board meetings. And under the place of the theme, place and the board, we've made a commitment to co-deliver the place plans for the key settlements across the borough, and to date 3 plans have been delivered to date in Armagh City in May 22, Banbridge in March 24 and Drumore in May 25. Also, the Housing Executive play a key role in the Community Plan Tackling Poverty and Social Exclusion Subcommittee, where we advise on our local housing and homelessness advice and support services, and contribute considerably to that subcommittee. Could I have the next slide, please? So basically, this slide gives you a breakdown of tenure. So there are 70,000, just over 70,000 households in the borough, of which 68.7% are owner-occupied, 20.8% is private rented, and 10.5% is social rented, which includes the housing executive and housing association properties. So 84,642 in total. As of March 25, the Housing Executive has a remaining stock level of just over 7,000 properties, and over the past 19 years, the Housing Executive has sold a number of those properties within the borough. Next slide, please. So Housing Executive spend, obviously within the plan itself, gives key breakdown of all the spend, just some key areas of spend in there. So investment in new build, over 16 million. Investment in planned and response maintenance, 17.5 million. Supporting people, 5.22 million. Temporary accommodation, 2.24 million. And private sector grants, 1.66 million. And obviously there are other parts of expenditure that we've spent at a total of 86.09 million. Next slide, please. So, new homes on site in 24-25, 5.14 million was invested in social homes. 13 new social homes were completed, and 243 social homes were under construction at the end of March 25. So you've got 2 images in there. The top image is Grainmore Road, Keady, Hark Housing Association, which we've got 13 homes on site at March 25, comprising of houses and wheelchair bungalows. And then the bottom image is North Street, Lurgan, Armagh Housing Association, 25 3-bedroom homes, 1 4-bedroom house, 12 2-bedroom apartments and 4 wheelchair accessible apartments. Next slide, please. So the waiting list then, as of March 25, there were 4,148 applications on the waiting list for the borough area, with 2,760 in housing stress. There were 418 allocations over the year through housing associations and housing executive homes. Single-person households make up the most of 42% of the waiting list in housing stress, followed by small family households of 25%. Next slide, please. The next slide gives you the 15-year housing market assessment for the borough. In the Housing Supply Strategy 24 to 39, Armagh, City, Banbridge and Craigavon is looking at a market rent of the 10,300, intermediate of 2,680. Social is 2,940, so across all tenures it's just short of 16,000. Based on the total for Northern Ireland of 95,000, that actually is 16.64%, and that is ranked number 1 in the rankings. Belfast is second at 13,140, and Lisbon and Castlereagh is ranked third at 12,010. Slide, please. This slide gives you a breakdown of the affordable housing supply. So the social housing development programme had a gross of 228 social housing units programmed. This included 198 urban units and 30 rural units. Our 5-year performance in respect of this programme, we've had 245 starts, 213 of those are urban and 32 rural, and this was against our strategic guidelines. So based on that original programme, we've actually had 383 starts, 335 are urban, 48 are rural, and these were changed against the target. So this has resulted in 138 more starts, which is broken down by 122 urban and 16 rural against the strategic guidelines. Intermediate co-ownership, they've increased their portfolio by about 10.5%, of which is 191 in the last year, which brings them to 1,803 units within the borough. And that last year's performance was the highest of all the councils in the area of 10.5% of their stock in the area. So next slide, please. So projected spend going forward then, you'd notice that there was 86 million in the previous slide. The projected spend going forward, which we can confirm, is 37.5 million. It's not possible to calculate the housing benefit due to the transfer to UC and also the new build and private sector grants, but the councils will be updated at the following year's HIP on this. Next slide, please. So what are the key challenges then? A number of key challenges going forward. Obviously, we're all aware of the shortage of social and affordable housing. The rise in homelessness and the continued need for temporary and emergency accommodation. We have a shortfall in capital funding impacting directly on the new social homes delivery, the Housing for All and the Affordable Warmth Scheme. Uncertainty regarding the long-term funding stream for the maintenance and modernisation of our housing stock. Rental income does not cover our planned investment needs last year, and linked to this is the historic low levels of the rents in the housing executive. Our average rent is about £74.35 per week. Put that into comparison with housing associations, theirs is north of £100. So we're about 20 to 30% also below LHA allowances as well. Wider impact on social housing issues on health and well-being of households, and there's a growing number of incidences and displays of race hate in our NHE neighbourhoods. Next slide, please. However, there's key opportunities that come with that as well. Programme for government, as you know, is a priority, and there are housing targets there. Ambitions of housing supply strategy and its cross-departmental focus. Support for revitalisation of the housing executive and the possibility of stable long-term investment in the homes and new build. One of the things that we're starting on very shortly, which is due to start in November, is a stock condition survey, and that will set out the investment requirements going forward. Funding for the homelessness prevention, especially the new foundations programme to help young people leaving care and avoid homelessness. We've got an acquisitions programme of about 600 new properties across Northern Ireland for the use of temporary accommodation. That business case has been approved. And the potential of new additional pilot projects for similar to our construction of our passive house scheme that we piloted in North Belfast, and a retrofit programme going forward. So they're the key opportunities, and that's a very brief high overview of the housing investment plan. And now it's over to you for any questions. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Paul. For that, are there any member questions at this point in time? Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Paul, for the presentation. Just an additional question which hadn't included in the number sent previously or last week. Paul, you touched on emergency and temporary accommodation. We all know there's very much a shortage of it in this borough, such as when families break up, parents with young children have to go to alternative accommodation in a very short space of time. They tend to be offered places like Belfast, Derry, Newry, obviously far away from primary schools, and there's a real need to have more of that very much emergency and short-term accommodation in this borough. Are there any plans underway by Housing Executive locally to acquire some of that accommodation so it can accommodate the likes of family units when they've gone through sudden breakup? Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Across our, the ABC Council has significantly increased during the post-pandemic, rising from what we originally held was 80 units to now 322 units. And we see that this trend will continue across the south area. We have seen also an increase in demand for large units of temporary accommodation with requirements of 4 or more bedrooms. And we're aware of like 10 households who require this type of accommodation, which is quite difficult to source. So we will work hard in trying to acquire that type of accommodation. We're also seeing more families refusing temporary accommodation unless it is in the immediate area, and the family making very short-term arrangements and then contacting our staff on a daily or weekly basis in terms of seeking local accommodation. And we have also got 9 units of our own temporary accommodation housing executive stock that we utilise for temporary accommodation. So we will continue to work in bringing on additional units of temporary accommodation to help support the demand.
Okay, thank you for that. Can I make members aware that Councillor Wilson and Councillor Mulholland have both joined online, and the next speaker is Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thanks, folks, for the presentation. It's actually just something that is I've been made aware of today, and that's in relation to the affordable warmth. There was a constituent who had been in contact who had gone through all the processes, had been told that they'd been eligible, and that was pre-summer. And whenever they make inquiries with the Executive Office today, they were advised that a letter of offer couldn't be issued because they were waiting on funds. Is it possible to get is that correct? Are we at the point where there are no affordable warmth letters of offer now been issued in the borough because of lack of money? Thank you.
Can you hear me there? Yeah. Yes. Councillor, you're correct in what you say. Unfortunately, the Housing Executive made a bid for 14 million, and we're only successful in securing a budget of 7.5 million, which means come the end of September, unless there's further funding from monitoring rounds, we'll not be in a position to issue any more approvals. We have another 212 to release in September, of which they're prioritised for those with non-operational heating systems. Other than that, other applications would have to wait until further funding becomes available.
Councillor Hannon, did you want to come back? Okay.
Lord Mayor, thank you, and thank you, Roisin, for the detail. Would it be possible, and I don't expect you to have the detail at your fingertips, but could we get a detail on the number of applications that were made this year, and then those who haven't been paid out or who are sitting on the waiting list as at this time? You mentioned a figure of 212. Are those 212 people in the borough who have been advised they're eligible, and yet there's no money to cover the grant? Because if they're eligible it's not easy to get onto the ladder for the affordable warrant scheme. To me, that's people who are sitting in houses which are cold and coming into the winter months.
$112 are cases that we have ready to release where we have the funding to cover them. Unfortunately, there would be approximately another 500 cases that, had we got the funding, we could have released, hence the bid for 14 million. At the time, we would have been certain that we could have met the funding requirement of 14 million, but unfortunately, because of the constraints on the budget allocation, we're not in a position to process those approvals. Those waiting in the borough, I can confirm we have 33 waiting on a grant approval, on one of those constituents being the one that you would have mentioned there. So 33 with a value of £172,000. Had we the money, we could have released them today.
Okay, the next speaker is Alderman Berry.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. In the latter part of your presentation, you had mentioned about 600 homes, 600 new homes in relation for temporary accommodation. Could you outline, is that 600 homes across Northern Ireland, or is that in this area alone? And could you explain more about that? Is that homes that are already built, or is that new builds? And why so many for temporary?
So it's 600 across the whole of Northern Ireland. So yeah, it's 600 across Northern Ireland, and basically it is existing stock that we're looking to acquire.
Next is Councillor Keith Hockian.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, folks, for the presentation. It's not a question, it's more of a comment. I think every year in my 10 years, you obviously have to come in and give a presentation, and to be fair, I usually give you a bit of a hard time because North Lurgan is top of the pops when it comes to what's required in terms of social housing and housing need in general. So my comment is, I don't think I've ever seen a year where there's as much positivity in the area with the amount of building that has been going on. Unfortunately, we still will be at the top of that, an enviable list. So it's to say thank you for the work that you've done. I know I can be giving you a hard time from time to time, but I would encourage you to continue to identify lands and space for more development. In particular, I want to thank your staff and Sinead as well for their work around place shaping. I know it's not an easy task, but just to say thank you and to keep going, it would be nice to see us not at the top of that list at some stage.
Okay, Councillor Kevin Savage.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, for bringing me in, and folks, thank you very much for your presentation. And Pauline, I'd just like you to pass on my thanks to the staff in your area for their help throughout the year. That they're always very helpful and they try and do their best for you every time. So I'd like you to mention that to them. Look, folks, I have a question around tenant succession. I dealt with a case earlier this year where a parent died and she had the tenancy had been passed to her from her deceased husband. Now, fortunately, it worked out well for the two adult sons in the house in terms of, they keep the tenancy, but it was very touch and go for a while. Is there any policy changes that the executive are thinking of making? Because it can be very stressful for people in that situation, and to be honest, I wasn't really aware of it. Is there any plans to change that policy in terms of when one tenancy succession hasn't already occurred? Is there anything you can tell me around that? Thank you, Lord Mayor.
At present, that would need a change in legislation, and it's not. At present, that would. Right? Yeah. Sorry. At present, that would need a change in legislation, and we're not looking at any making changes at this moment in time.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then to Councillor Robbie Alexander.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you very much for the presentation this evening. The redevelopment of Moiraverty Flats in the Craigavon area has been a long discussed and important opportunity to construct a mixed-use development to meet social housing need, regenerate the local area and tackle persistent challenges with antisocial behaviour. From a council perspective, the redevelopment will also be a catalyst to provide a much needed play park for the growing population there. Therefore, it's quite disappointing that there's no reference to this project in the social housing development programme in Appendix 3, which will be completed over the coming years. Delays in this important project have already caused much frustration to the local community. And can the Housing Executive outline what steps they are taking as an organisation to keep this area and the regeneration project progressing when local residents and outline when local residents can expect this scheme to be delivered? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Alexander. So, as you'll be aware, the Housing Executive developed an indicative housing plan for Borough back in 2023, which was the focus of discussions with elected reps at the time, and also the subject of a pre-application discussion with ABC Council planning team. So the consultation at the time highlighted the need for a partnership-led approach to facilitate the delivery of a mixed-use development, which not only includes affordable housing, but also examines the potential to deliver other commercial and community services. So parallel to this, ABC Community Planning Place Board have also recently commissioned a consultant to prepare a research and discovery report for the Craigavon urban area in advance of a tender for a place plan. So as partners on the place board and members of the project board for this plan, the Housing Executive promote Rafferty as an opportunity site within the central Craigavon area, and we anticipate that this will enable meaningful consultation both with statutory partners and with the community on the future of this site. In the interim, 7 of the 9 remaining flats at Rafferty are currently tenanted. 2 are used for temporary accommodation. These are the only flats available in central Craigavon at the minute, while the works at Aldervale flats are ongoing, and the relocation of the tenants and the reacquisition of the one sold property will have to be appropriately managed. But in light of those 2 considerations, the redevelopment of Rafferty will be added to the new 3-year social housing development programme for 2028-29, highlighting our commitment to progressing this project, but also recognising the need to align emerging opportunities and to enable a partnership approach. I should add just that housing need does continue to increase for central Craigavon. The 5-year projected need for the period 2024 to 29 is 149 units. But the Housing Executive has now supported the largest new build programme in this area for some time. We have 38 units currently on site at Rushmere Glen with Choice Housing Association, and a 29-unit scheme on the 3-year programme at West Acres, which is quite close to Rafferty. We also have another housing association for a scheme proposal, which again is quite close to Rafferty, which should also be added to the register, the programme, that later this year.
Okay, thank you. The next question comes from Councillor Jude Mallon.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Could you provide me with an update on when the cladding scheme is scheduled to recommence in Ardoin?
Sorry, folks, we need to switch over the cards here so that I can speak for once. There we go. Yeah, the Ardoin cladding scheme is included in a tender that we have carried out, and it's actually going to one of our senior committees for approval this week. So we would hope that that will start fairly soonish, and to get the works up and going again that had to be abandoned in that area.
Okay, thank you. And we have Councillor Catherine Nelson next.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and can I thank the Housing Executive staff for their presentation, but can I also take a wee minute just to thank Housing Executive staff in the Craigavon area who are hugely responsive, so helpful, and always really, really patient, be it the patch managers, housing officers, or the maintenance folk. So, and also Shan, who does a lot of work in Victoria and co on the main generic email address. So thank you to them. I have a couple of questions, and look, I know that I've emailed these across, so if the answers have to wait, there's no issue with that. I am interested in knowing where we are with the Drumbeg situation, where there is a piece of housing executive land that we hope to use to deliver a play park there. I share the concerns of Councillor Alexander around Moy Rafferty. It is an urgent need of redevelopment. It's much needed, and I do want to see that making progress. I very much welcome the West Acres scheme. There is huge potential in central Craigavon because there is so much land that is in public ownership, and I would like to see more schemes like the West Acres scheme coming forward. And I suppose just finally, if I could mention the traveller site at Legahorry, just a wee bit disappointed that there seems to have been a delay with the project. It was meant to be on the ground April and May. It was originally for 12 pitches and it's now down to 5. And this is despite overcrowding on sites right across the north. Traveller families being left to live on roadsides and in shoddy conditions of accommodation. And I really think where that is concerned, we can and should do better. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Nelson will provide a written response to all those questions for you.
Okay, thank you. And the next and last speaker is Councillor Paul Duffy.
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. Just on the emerging issues, particularly around the rents, I think it's very scandalous, you know, that some landlords are charging over £800. In my own area, I've heard of landlords looking over £1,000, and that's in Portadown. I know it's noted here for Belfast, but I can't see any end coming to a housing demand when landlords are looking that sort of rents and people just, they're not earning that sort of money. So it's just going to be a never-ending cycle. Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, is there someone to come back on that? Or we just take it as a comment? All right, lovely, thank you. Thank you. Councillor Nelson, did you want to come back? No, I take it not. Your name has come up on the screen here.
Oh, sorry, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I thank you for your attendance here tonight, folks? I know that there are some written questions come in and that you will respond in writing shortly in relation to them. So thank you very much. Appreciate your attendance. Okay, members, moving on then, we have agenda item 5, the committee meeting, committee minutes. Agenda 5.1, can I have a proposer and seconder that the minutes of Environmental Services Committee meeting held on the 2nd of September to be taken as read and approved as a correct record. Councillor Duffy, you happy to propose? Thank you. And Councillor McElrath, the second. We all agreed to adopt the recommendations contained within the minutes. Happy to move on. Can I have a proposer? Sorry. Councillor Kyle Murtry.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I just wanted to make a few comments in relation to item 3.3 of the Environmental Services Committee. I wasn't I'm not a member of this committee, so I wasn't privy to the discussion. I've since read through it, and I've since read the statistics that were provided. They were in relation as well to a piece that I had spoke about in the July full meeting of council. In short, members,
Can I stop you there, Councillor Murtry? Can you clarify as to which point this is? You referred to 3.3, but have you an ES number?
ES 2521.
Okay. Go again, Councillor Murtry.
Environmental health report. Yeah. Environmental health report, ES.
Okay, ES
2521.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Members, in short, these figures confirm what I suspected previously. Since the last update in 2023 on fly tipping figures, the number of reported incidents has increased right across the borough. That should alarm everyone in this chamber. But what stands out to me is the scale of the issue in Portadown specifically, with 315 complaints logged, compared to just 52, in Banbridge. That's 6 times more reports in Portadown than in Banbridge, a similar sized town. And I think that speaks volumes of where we're at with the problem. As I said before, it's grossly unfair that our ratepayers continue to foot the bill for the actions of those who show no respect for local communities and the communities they live in. I do acknowledge that Council is considering a number of actions in relation to this, and I welcome that. I hope we have progress on that front. There needs to be clear, open and honest dialogue with all parties involved, and where necessary, appropriate enforcement measures need to take place. If tenants won't take responsibility, then the landlords and agencies who profit from these properties should. I think that's a common sense position, and I hope we can find commonality on that. This situation has been unacceptable for far too long, and a change in approach is well overdue. I hope that we can continue to explore our full range of powers on this, and I look forward to further updates in due course. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Councillor Peter Lavery.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. It's on an unrelated item. It relates to ES 93/2025 regarding DAERA public consultation on the draft climate action plan. Lord Mayor is quite disappointed when we were reviewing the minutes to see that the comprehensive officer draft response was voted down by the DUP and Ulster Unionist Party. We have some of the best climate and biodiversity officers in local government, so it was disappointing to see that their extensive knowledge was sort of put to the side regarding the significant issue of climate change and how it impacts this borough locally. I don't think political parties should be in the business of silence and science. Therefore, I would like to propose the officers' draft responses submitted by this council, and as part of that consultation, as was the original officer recommendation which came to committee there, Environment Services. So if someone would like to second that, thank you.
Okay, is there a seconder for that?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Happy to second.
I'm going to bring in Alderman Mark Baxter at this point.
Thank you, Chair. And I just could ask just to clarify what the proposal is, please.
Councillor Lavery, are you in a position to formalise the proposal?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The original draft consultation response, which was presented at the Environmental Services Committee earlier this month, I believe the recommendation was, at that time, to basically provide that response to the consultation process, which was drafted by officers. Obviously, that was declined, I think, at committee. My proposal is that we support the original officer recommendation and provide that draft consultation response as council's response to this consultation programme on this important piece of legislation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lavery. All agreed? No. Okay, we're going to have to go to a vote then. Okay, a recorded vote requested and granted. Yeah, give us a... Okay, members, the vote is now open. Okay, members, our indication is that everyone has voted, so if anyone hasn't, you've got 5 seconds. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay, give us a second, please. Okay, members, the result is for 20 votes against 21 votes. The proposal is not carried. It was a recorded vote, so those voting for were Councillor Alexander, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Fergal Donnelly, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Sarah Duffy, Councillor Ferguson, Councillor Hockey, Councillor Hockian, Councillor Lavery, Councillor Mackle, Councillor Mallon, Councillor Mallon again, Councillor McCartan, Councillor McConville Walker, Councillor McGowan, Councillor Nelson, Councillor O'Dowd, Councillor O'Hanlon, Councillor O'Kane, Councillor Kevin Savage. Those voting no were Councillor Armstrong, Alderman Barr, Alderman Baxter, Alderman Berry, Alderman Burns, Councillor Evans, Councillor Flaherty, Alderman Greenfield, Councillor Herr, Alderman Kennedy, Councillor McClellan, Councillor McElrath, Councillor Moutre, Councillor Mulholland, Alderman Rankin, Councillor Radcliffe, Councillor Kyle Savage, Alderman Tinsley, Alderman Wilson, Councillor Wilson and myself. Okay, ready to move on? Okay, members, we move on then to agenda 5.2. Can I have a proposer and a seconder that the minutes of the Planning and Regulatory Committee held on the 3rd of September and taken to be read and approved as a correct record? Councillor Kevin Savage, you happy to propose? Councillor Mrs O'Dowd to second. Are we all agreed to adopt the recommendations contained? Happy to move on. Thank you. Okay. Also, can I make members aware that Councillor Ashley Mallon has joined remotely, and that was before the vote, lest anyone be concerned. Agenda item 5.3, I have a proposer and seconder that the minutes of the Community and Wellbeing Committee held on the 8th of September are taken and read as approved for a correct record. Alderman Barr, you happy to propose? No. You were an apology at that meeting. Alderman Wilson, are you happy to propose? Thank you. Can I have a seconder who was at that meeting? Councillor McCartan, thank you. We all agreed to adopt the recommendations contained. Happy to move on. Agenda item 4. Can I have a proposer and seconder of the Economic Development and Regeneration Committee held on the 9th of September? Councillor McClelland, you happy to propose? And Councillor Jude Mallon, happy to second. Thank you. And we're all agreed with the recommendations. Happy to move on. Agenda item 5.5. Can a proposer and seconder that the minutes of the Government Resources and Strategy Committee held on the 10th of September be taken and read as an approved record? Councillor Evans, you happy to propose? Thank you. And Councillor Mackle, happy to second. We all agreed with the recommendations contained and happy to move on. Thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder for the minutes of the Performance and Audit Committee meeting held on the 18th of September to be taken and read and as approved as a correct record? Councillor Alexander, happy to propose. Thank you. And Councillor Mulholland, are you happy to second? Is there someone else that was at that meeting? Alderman Greenfield, thank you. Are we happy to adopt the recommendations? Happy to move on? Thank you. Agenda item 6 is the schedule of correspondence. There are 3 items for noting. Members happy with to note the items 6.1, 6.3. Councillor Kevin Savage wants to come in.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, hit your button again.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, for allowing me to speak. I just want to make a comment on 6.2. Hopefully this will mean a change in NIE response times to plan applications, because to date it's been abysmal, to say the least. I have corresponded with them many, many times, and it's more or less go away, we'll get round it once we get a chance to. So I really hope this is a change in attitude from them, because there is some significant planning applications that this council have that have been held up by them responses, and we need them back as soon as possible. So I just wanted to make that comment, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Going to bring in Councillor Keith Radcliffe.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. It's 6.3 and the corresponds just about the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in the schools. I'd like to start off first of all by welcoming these new part-time 20-mile-an-hour speed limits that's been rolled out in the schools, some of the schools across the borough, as highlighted in the letter to the Chief Executive. These are definitely a step in the right direction whenever it comes to protecting our school children. But I have to say, there's a glaring omission outside Market Hill High School on the Moan Road. We still have no reduced speed limit, despite the clear dangers raised time and time again by myself, parents, staff of the school and local residents. Why should we wait for a tragedy before action is taken? This road is busy, heavily used on a very fast stretch of the road, and pupils are crossing it every day. I'd like to propose and ask the Council writes to the Department of Infrastructure urging them to urgently revisit the case for a lower speed limit outside Market Hill High School, and at the same time to deliver a pedestrian crossing at Market Hill Primary School. Let's make it clear here tonight that safety of our children in Market Hill is every bit as important as everywhere else throughout the borough. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Ms O'Dowd, I take it you're on a different point? 6.2, yeah. Just give me a second then. Do I have a seconder to Councillor? I'll bring in Alderman Paul Berry and ask you to second.
Okay, thank you, Lord Mayor, and I'm more than happy to second this proposal from Councillor Ratcliffe. Obviously delighted for the three schools, Drumhillery, Folly and St Mary's Primary School, for this introduction of the part-time 20-mile-per-hour speed limits at these schools. This is very, very welcome, and I'm delighted for them. I would concur with the comments that have been made. I actually had written to the Minister of DFI, who very promptly came back and assured me that it would be considered in relation to the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit outside Market Hill Primary School and Market Hill High School. This Mowan Road is a very, very busy road. A lot of traffic on it, a lot of children crossing the roads from the town itself of Market Hill, but also from the rural areas. And whilst I welcomed the minister's letter, engaging with the principals of both schools and the parents who raised it with me, I think it's something that it's very important that we continue to keep the pressure on this to ensure that I believe one day a speed limit will be put on this road. I do believe it. I'm glad that there is progression in relation to the pedestrian crossings, which hopefully will be happening sooner rather than later. So there is progress being made, but I think it's important that we would write to Denver Brown here, the traffic engineer, to keep the pressure on and first of all ask why Market Hill wasn't on this list and pressing them for it, but also in latter as well, one that always comes up every year is Clare Primary School, which is also a constant problem and concern for the school and its parents. So I'd like that added to the list, and I'm happy to second it. Thank you.
Okay, there are two other councillors who want to come in, so I'm going to bring them at this point. First of all, Councillor Alderman Gordon Kennedy. Can you hit your button again, please, Gordon? Yep, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Lord Mayor. It's just along the same lines. I'd welcome those 20-mile-an-hour speed limits at the two schools, at all three schools, especially two of my constituency, Greenmore and Foley. But along the same lines again is I have written to the Minister regarding the speed limits at Market Hill as well, and the Chair of the Board of Governors have been on, and I had phoned DFI at June. They were looking at a meeting with them before the end of June, and I rung again in July, and they said the person dealing with it had been moved up the ladder, and it was a different person was now dealing with it, and it is now end of September, and I'm still waiting on that phone call back, which I think is quite unacceptable. And I think road service is here next month, so hopefully we can get a better message across. But it's outside the high school. Market Hill is still officially a 40-mile-an-hour. The 30-mile-an-hour zone doesn't kick in between the two schools, so it's totally unacceptable. And as long as Paul says as well, Clare Primary School is another school on a very busy road that has no speed limit, so I'm happy to second his proposal to include Clare Primary School. Thank you.
Okay, you're happy to take Clare Primary School into your proposal as well then. Councillor or Alderman Gareth Wilson.
Yeah, thank you very much. I suppose just on that, a couple of points, but on the speed limit, totally concur with everything that's been said. I think we've been very diligent, crucial representatives over a long period in terms of these issues, in terms of lobbying, and that's evident tonight in the commentary. It's just to see if Derry Hill could also be added to that. I know that's been raised a number of times right across the piece as well. But just on what Councillor Savage has said in terms of the NIE response times, I was chatting at our conference at the weekend with one of the housing association groups, and they were concerned just about NIEA consultation times as well, because believe it or not, they're holding up social housing projects in this borough. And as we know, we've just had the housing executive report there, and I know there is pressure, obviously, on housing in the borough, and the fact that NIEA are, they're technically sitting on a lot of applications that do need resolved, and that would unlock a lot of potentially new housing solutions for people in the borough. So I would definitely concur in terms of the expressions there by Councillor Savage, and also urge us to continue to keep pressure on NIEA to deliver on those promises in that letter, and let's hope it does bring some progress.
Councillor Radcliffe, you happy to incorporate that other school into your proposal then as well as? Yes, thank you. Okay. Are members agreed with that? All agreed? Thank you. Okay. Councillor Mary O'Dowd.
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation to what the other councillors not have said, with regards to NIEA, I got an email from NIFA's Chief Executive concerned that there's actually housing associations planning on pulling out of developments in the area because of the hold-up with NIEA, which is gravely concerning considering these are social housing that we all need in our areas. So if we could try and see what we could even do there that would make a difference. Thank you.
Okay, are you proposing that we write to NIEA or to the Minister? Either or both? Either or both, I would be. Okay, thank you. Okay, someone to second? Okay, Councillor Savage seconded and agreed. Thank you. Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon.
Yeah, Lord Mayor, thank you. And I just want to bring you back to the school issue. Lord Mayor, can I ask that we ask the department to detail the list of schools that they've actively considering and which didn't make the grade on this occasion? I think that would, because all of us then start into a debate with all of schools in the area, and just for openness and transparency, I just declare an interest as a member of the Board of Governors of St Mary's Primary School in Graymore, and whilst I welcome it, I'd be keen to see the list of where they've been considered and which didn't actually make it on this occasion, please, and thank you. If the proposers left the chamber, but if him and Councillor Barry are happy to include that in their letter, I think that would be...
Happy to include that then, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, moving on then to agenda item 7, schedule of documents requiring the corporate seal. There are 2 documents for approval, 7.1 and 7.2. Can I have a proposer and seconder to sign and agree these legal documents, please? Proposed by Councillor Alexander, seconded by Councillor O'Dowd, and agreed. Thank you. Moving into confidential business, can I have a proposer and second to go into committee for consideration of confidential items of business? Proposed by Alderman Barry, seconded by Alderman Baxter. Members and listeners to the audio feed, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential section of Council. This means that we'll be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to turn off the audio feed and confirm with me when we can proceed? Thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder to adopt the decisions taken in committee? Proposed by Councillor Mrs O'Dowd and seconded by Councillor Duffy and agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 10 is any other relevant business, and we have 3 items here. Number 1 is support for Market Hill Outdoor Bowling Club. I'll bring in Alderman Gareth Wilson.
Yeah, thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll not keep you too long. It's just really to get it on the minute. A number of concerns raised by Market Hill District Outdoor Bowling Club, and I know the representatives of the club have been on with all the Cusher councillors, so I thought, along with other councillors here, we would just try and get this matter minuted in order, really just to chart progress on it and ensure that actions that are required are indeed taken forward, and perhaps that this item could also be brought up again at the next opportunity at full council, or in terms of the appropriate committee, which I assume would be well-being, if that could be dealt with there, or seeing as it's outdoor leisure, I know there is a split there, but whatever appropriate committee, it's just the concerns are real for the club. They do want to have a home for bowling that they can be proud of, and at the minute there are just a number of issues affecting the green that's making that very difficult, and I know Alderman Barry has requested a meeting, and I would just urge that that can be undertaken along with the club as soon as possible, and that we can nail down some proposals that will help the club and ensure that into the future it continues to thrive. So that's really all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'm led to believe that the relevant committee is Environmental Services, so it'll go back to there. Alderman Kennedy.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just backing up what Councillor Wilson brought forward there, I had raised this quite a time ago on the back of the late Robert Hunter, who was a prominent member of the club, and there was no funding available, and it was a streamline to say if funding did become available, but obviously it has never been penciled into the equation, so I'm happy enough it's coming forth now to fruition, and hopefully we'll get something more concrete.
Okay, and Councillor Peter Herr on the same topic. Hit your button again there, Councillor Herr.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Yes, as I said, I was in the park recently there at the Women's IWBA Bowls, and it was mentioned to me at it. And could I say we thank you to all the staff of Lurgan Park, especially Mrs. McShane and especially the greenkeeper, Audrey McStraw. Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on to Banbridge Bowling Green, and that's Councillor Joy Ferguson.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and perhaps it's a similar grain to previous speakers. Good green maintenance is an integral function to any bowling club, but unfortunately for too many years the maintenance of the club green in Banbridge hasn't been consistent or to standard, raising wider concerns that the council isn't prioritising our frontline services, and specifically in greenkeeping and clubhouse maintenance in Banbridge. Scar fires are not being fixed in our garages and remain out of use for months, and basic maintenance tasks are not being done over a consistent and sustained period. Therefore, I would ask for an urgent meeting, and that urgent short to medium term solutions are found to address the need of the green over the winter in preparation for the next season. And similar to Alderman Wilson, to bring back an options paper to the appropriate committee to explore partnership arrangements with all bowling clubs who want to see good green maintenance and site maintenance. We must support sporting success in all of our clubs, but particular for bowling clubs who have been let down on their basic needs. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Ferguson, couldn't agree more with you in relation to that. Are you happy that that's brought back to Environmental Services with the issue in relation to Market Hill as well then? Thank you for raising that tonight. The last piece of business tonight is around Baby Loss Awareness Week, which is the 9th to the 15th of October. and Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon had requested to speak on that issue.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor, just as you indicated, Baby Loss Memorial Week takes place between the 9th and 15th of October. And over recent years, we've had some memorial gardens created in council properties. Some of us have been contacted by the group in Armagh who want to use the facility during that week to host a small memorial event, and it's just, I think it has to go through council to get that the nod or the go-ahead. But just when we are doing that, if we could maybe make a request to environmental services just to make sure that the area in and around that at the back of the palace is cleaned and tidied and appropriately tidied up in advance of the event, please, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon, and we'll see if that's done. Okay, Alderman Margaret Tinsley.
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor. And you had said that was the last item of AOB. I was actually waiting on Councillor Hockey and bringing up about the play park strategy.
That has been withdrawn.
It's been withdrawn, but do you mind if I just raise on the back of that from 2022 we have been waiting on this coming through. So whatever Councillor Hockey and information he received to content him to take it off AOB, I would actually be interested, because I have been lobbying for Abercorn for the last 3 years, and very, very, very frustrated, Lord Mayor, at this point. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Tinsley, I suggest that you have a chat with Councillor Hockey afterwards, and maybe he can enlighten you. Okay. All right, members, that concludes. All right, Councillor. You've given up. Okay. Okay, ma'am. We'll quit while we're ahead here. Thank you all for your cooperation tonight and your attendance. Thank you, members.